kind of shocking to me because it was her goal, and so that means like to me it was like she was kind of desperate for it. So I wanted to get into the mindset of that. Like I just
So you're saying, what I think I hear you saying is the motivation behind the goal is what's causing the desperation. Is
the motivation. Yeah. I know when I was growing up, I did want to I wanted to get married, and I wanted a boyfriend or, you know, someone, and it was more like to love me, but I feel like that stems from me not having a father in my life growing up. So I wanted this male, just a male figure. I just, you know, dreamed of it. And so it was just always wanting a man to love me. And I think I still feel that because I don't have my father here. And I just saw him over like FaceTime or something, and it was just kind of like, hi, you know, it was like very awkward. Yeah.
I have a view, and it's kind of like a lot of, because I'm teeter-tottering a lot, especially with wanting to be married and being self-sufficient, and it kind of stems from what you see or what you've seen over years of, you know, either watching your parents. From my background, I have a family full of single moms. Either the men come, they make baby and they run, or they get cut and they run. I mean, either way it goes, like that's my mom's side of the family. And then my dad's side, which I've never really seen, but they're more solid. So like, I think if I was raised around more solid relationships that's not really lacking things, then I probably wouldn't have had I think I want to be married or not. Does that make sense? It's kind of like what I see and what I want to portray to the world, because everybody else is portraying something, so now I'm trying to do the same.
So where you are right now is you want to get married, you don't want to get married? Is that something?
I know, right? I am okay with either way it goes. I've gotten to a contentment, because before I was content with being alone, so I celebrated it. Then I was not content and very sad and wanted to, why did this marriage fail? Because I was married before.
Okay.
Why did it fail? And I'm just a failure, and I was just, and it was crying and tears and all that other stuff. So I kind of got content with right now. Like, I'm good, I'm in a healthy relationship, and I'm okay with that. And if it does lead to marriage, I'm okay with that.
So how did you
that's the first time she said that clearly.
I know. I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Again, no pressure.
I'm so content with being single. And I think that the extreme on this end and that end, I feel like it messes up either your own well-being or your relationship. So, did you have something to say?
I didn't want to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I think a lot of it has to do with expectations, why a female wants to get married so much, because they expect, like, women are more all, like, about the dream. So they think about the wedding and they think about, like, the beautifulness of it all, but they don't necessarily think about the unity of the marriage. Now, when, just like Maxine was saying, it's about how you're conditioned to live a certain way, how you're raised and everything. So just like you didn't have a father, so you're searching for that love. She's seen a lot of brokenness, but she's seen a lot of wholeness. So she can go from both spectrums. But I guess to me, it's like the transition of your childhood, how you were conditioned to that adult life. So it's like, how am I battling between what I learned and how I'm creating myself? But I think a lot of people get stuck in that phase of, who am I creating myself to be? So then they're stuck at the expectancy. This is where I came from. It's a lot of brokenness. So I dream of this beautiful marriage and this and that. Or you can be the opposite and say, I've seen a lot of brokenness and I don't want to be married. I'm okay with being single. And so you have to just really find that boundary, like, as a woman, who am I? What do I believe in? What's my value? And what is my view on marriage? Not my mom's, not my dad's, and what I've seen, but where do I want to go in the future?
So because you're actually married. Did you want to be married?
No. When I was a little girl, my parents did not have a solid marriage. They didn't have, my grandparents didn't have a solid marriage. My aunts and uncles didn't have solid marriage. Everybody was married and everybody stayed together, but nobody was at any, they had no peace anywhere that I looked around. So I was like, I'm not having children or getting married, you know, just from what I've seen. And then I got my first boyfriend. And then very quickly, right when I was 18, I got my first boyfriend. And I got to that point where I didn't want to just be dating anybody because I value myself and I'm not just going to be spreading myself around like that. So I'm like, I kind of need a boyfriend because I'm getting these urges, these desires, and I want to explore this, you know. And I'm not in a space where I'm going to save myself for marriage. You know, I wasn't raised like that, you know. I hadn't seen that. And so I met this boy, and this is my first boyfriend, and the urges kicked off, and I got pregnant right away. So we stayed together. My mom forced me to get married.
Let me get this clear. You're saying that you sort of went looking for a boyfriend or open to having a boyfriend.
I became open to having a boyfriend, and immediately it happened. Right? Like I told myself, I'm not going to be sexual while I'm in high school because my mom got pregnant in high school.
So you told yourself that.
Right.
It wasn't like it was a standard in your household.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, she told me I would prefer you wait till marriage, but the life she lived, she didn't want to be a hypocrite, and you know, she didn't want to control me. So it's like, I'm just going to tell you the truth, and hopefully, God willing, you make the best decision. So the decision I made was to get a boyfriend, and I got pregnant right away. As soon as I lost my virginity, I got pregnant.
Wow.
So we stayed together, got pregnant again. My mom's like, you guys are getting married now. I put my foot down. Y'all getting married. Never wanted to get married, but I got married. And this didn't turn out well.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't, because you can either you get married young because of the pressures and you can grow together as adults, or you can still be in that brokenness, what you've seen, and never flourish together.
Exactly.
And that's what happened.
That's what happened with me. I started to grow up because once you have children, as a woman, you change. It doesn't affect the man the same way. So I started to grow up.
When you say you change as a woman,
You start to see life different.
Maturity.
Yeah,
Because
it's
there's
like
men
now
that
I need
change.
purpose.
There's
Now,
men that change, like they'll say stuff like, you know, oh, when I had my first child, I was drinking before, then now I'm not doing that anymore. Or I got a job because you know, so I'm trying to understand.
yeah, and I don't want to generalize men because of course there are some cases, but a lot of the men, you know, having a child doesn't affect them the same as having a wife. You know, they prefer their wife to their children. You know, a lot of men. The bond is there with the woman that carried. You know, you carried the person.
There's some healing that needs to go on.
Yes.
Well, maybe you're speaking truth to that in a sense because, like, when a relationship doesn't work out, the man is gone and leaves the kids, and that's not for everyone. Because I do know some good fathers, but at least I can say from my experience, my father is gone. You know, and that took a lot for me because I was thinking, what did I do? You know what I mean? Like, why doesn't my dad love me? Why doesn't, and I think I struggle with that still sometimes, just of, you know, why can't I be loved? That's like kind of getting real deep right here. But,
that's a whole nother topic. I don't even want to speak.
Well, I mean, it has to be the topic when you're talking about relationships, because ultimately, when you're getting into a relationship with someone, it's you opening yourself up to that person emotionally, physically, everything. And if you don't love yourself, you can't pour from an empty cup.
No, I was saying just in general, that's a whole nother like time, space. But to feed into that, like, I think you have to understand, and this is something that I'll be writing about and all that. When you have two broken people and they have a child, they're not necessarily thinking, oh, let me love this child. They're still in their brokenness. And when a person is broken, they're just trying to figure out how to survive daily. So even though they're supposed to love that child, they're not saying this is my responsibility. They're still in their mind like, okay, well, I have this extension, this is just a part of my daily life, but it's not my priority. My priority is what can I get something that's going to satisfy me temporarily. Instant gratification.
The question I would pose to you guys, because you've always said, like, I'm kind of content where I'm at, is it contentment or you kind of lost hope in what it could be?
That's a good question. I'm open to the right man. I don't want to just get married and have a man. You know,
are you
because-
putting your insecurity out there and just saying like, nah, I don't want a man because you don't want to deal with the own self-love and self-worth that you haven't?
No, I'm not saying I don't want a man. I'm open to a relationship, but with purpose.
Yeah, I don't know any relationship, any marriage that the people came in whole.
Seanay has a background. Her parents are strong in marriage. So I really want you to express what you've seen, because it sounds like all of us came from brokenness. And I know your parents been together long term, and they may have had their ups and downs or whatever, but they're still together, and y'all be doing family stuff. I want to get your view on what marriage is, because in our view, we had to change it a lot.
Yeah.
But I know that your standard of a man is high. You expect high because your dad put that pedestal high.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you see in us that's different from what you've seen growing up?
Well, first and foremost, both of my parents came from, their parents were married a long time as well. My mother's parents still married to this day, going on 55 years. And my dad's parents, actually my grandfather passed away, but they were married 20 plus years. And my parents have been married, at the end of this month, it'll be 26 years. So what I have seen is, even though they came from strong marriages, they each had wounds. And in some areas in their life, they became wound mates. And through time, they had to work on healing those wounds, because my dad was a communicator and my mother was a fighter, because that's all she saw and that's all he saw. So trying to bring the two together, my dad's like, we need to sit down and talk, and we're going to sit down and talk like adults. And my mom's like, no, I'm about to put these things on you and we're going to go on about our business. And he's like, I'm not hitting you. There's no way. And through time, they had to develop that language, and even after they had kids, they still had to develop. Now today, what I can say is, through the brokenness and through the cracked spaces in their marriage, they allowed the light of God to come in. Yes. And when you allow the light to come in, and you both deal with, you allow God to deal with you guys separately, when you come together, it's a whole nother ballgame. Yes. I've witnessed it. I've seen the tears. I watched the prayer. And even the couples that my parents are involved with, they don't really hang around a lot of couples, but like aunts and different things like that, nobody around us really has a lasting relationship or marriage at all. So for me, the standard of marriage is definitely making sure you're first committed to God and then committed to each other. And everything else will fall into place. Originally, my dad wasn't going to church, and my mom wasn't really either. They had a relationship they knew God, but they weren't in relationship with him. So the way they were handling things were not biblical. And they were having flesh flashes, and they realized you can't meet flesh with flesh. Somebody's got to bring the spirit in at some point in time to diffuse it, so that you both can grow. Because adversity is brought about to show you guys how far you have come and where you are and how much further you need to be. So they've given me the vision to have the capacity to say, this is where I'm at right now, but I know God has greater. And until that point in time, I'm working on cultivating being somebody's good thing, being somebody's wife. And when I say I'm truly content and okay with where I'm at right now, I really am. And, you know, society will bring, well, you're 24, girl, you're 25, it's time, you ain't dating nobody, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that. And I'm like, you're not on God's timing. You're not synced up with kingdom. So you're going to have me out here trying to do X, Y, and Z. And that's not what God has called me to do right now. Right now I'm in my purpose. Right now I'm in my lane. And I'm good. So overall, my parents have definitely shown stability. They've shown their commitment to God and each other. And the importance of not losing their own identity and not losing who God has called them to be.
I was just gonna.
love it.
I wanted to expand on the first you got to commit to God and then commit to y'all. But I think to me it's key to commit to God, commit to yourself, and commit to y'all. Because if you're not doing your self-work, you can't give Him your all.
Well, in the midst of committing to God, you are committing to yourself. Because that's your interpersonal relationship.
Right, and it's spiritual, but you have to, I see it as like, you can't, if you're not investing, you can invest, you and God, that's spiritual, that's your whole spirit, but what about everything else around you that makes you a woman? So I feel like if you're not investing in yourself, like literally taking time to yourself, and even beside, God is always going to be with you, but you and your time alone and your thoughts, because if not, I feel like you're always investing in Him and God, but what about you? You forgetting about you. Now remember, God is the essence of you. I'm not taking God out. But what about you as a woman, the flesh woman?
Does that make sense? Give me some examples. Because you said, the relationship with God, and then you have a relationship with yourself,
Right.
and then a relationship with your man.
Right. And I meant just, because when you think of a person, you have all areas making up you. So you have your spirituality. But what about your career? That's your focus. If you're not satisfied in your career, then you're going to give all that time to your man. And then you're going to be looking for him, searching for him, because you don't have nothing filling that void. So say if you have career, then what about finances or travel or adventures? There's a whole bunch of areas that make up you. Mm-hmm. And if you feel like you're depleting that area, then all of a sudden you're going to focus it on one part a little too much. And then that's that expectancy, that expectation that you're trying to, oh, you're not doing enough for me, when in reality, you're not doing enough for yourself. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yeah. When she said handling the spiritual, handling the woman part, I totally agree. I just had a conversation this morning, speaking on things that are in, I call them dormant brokenness, and how when we're constantly in prayer and we're asking God to heal these areas, they lie dormant. When we're not talking about them, we're saying God healed it. It's gone, and we're constantly having revival on a subject that has been healed, and we get that healing, but we still have, the spiritual healing is there, but then there's that emotional part that still can come up, and then people will say that it's not forgiven or it's not gone away. But that's a part of the woman part of fixing those areas, fixing, the brokenness that, it's separating the two, but actually it's fixing it as well. Yeah, you can slap Jesus on everything, the blood of Jesus on everything, but then you still want to do certain things.
It's the work. It's the work. A work without faith is, it's dead. So you can't be this whole, yes, we're spirit, but you got to understand we're spirit walking, but we're flesh touching this ground. So if you just moving in spirit, but you're not moving in the flesh, you ain't moving at all. So to be a woman in your relationship, you got to do all your work.
Well, my goal is to die to my flesh every day. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be walking in my flesh at all. I want everything to be spirit-led, because we will always have a void. To the day we leave this earth, we are going to have a void. And that's just a reminder to let you know that you are not God and that you are in need of God. So I understand what you're saying as far as that you will have some natural aspects of your life that you will have to deal with. But through it all, you need to infuse the spirit into everything that you do.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that. And that's what she's saying when it comes together.
If I'm not rooted in God as a woman, then to me it's like, I can't live like that. I feel like I'm not a woman, or the woman that I desire to be, have a heart to be, without God. The saying is that God is my ultimate source. I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm convicted in that.
My source is God. My whole entity is God. I can't move without God. I've tried it and I stumble every single time.
I'm so glad that this marriage is the true topic of this conversation, because marriage ain't no joke. It is not for love. I want to be in love. I want to hug and kiss all day. No. I want to grow up and mature and become a woman, a full woman of God. I got to find a purpose there.
Yeah.
You know, like we're doing this to show people. And we didn't say we were going to talk about God, but look who we're talking about. God knew that. And he knows what message is going to touch what individual that watches it. You know what I'm saying? Everything falls back
this sure
to God.
was supposed to be a God topic.
We're all different in how we see things and how we operate. Why you get married is different. You know, some people, I was talking to my mom the other night, and because my mom, she's been married a few times. and to me, growing up, I felt like she wanted to be married just to say she was married, just to have the identity of family. But there was really no family. She wasn't really doing the work. And so we were talking about, again, she wants to get married and this is the last time. And I hope, you know, she's older now, so she's changed a lot. But I was thinking, I'm like, Mom, why do you want to get married? Is it because, you know, the Bible say, you know, man and woman should be together and it's biblical, or because you want somebody to love you at night, or like, you know, what are your reasons? And I think that's a lot of women do that. You can either be very biblical and say, well, I'm supposed to be married. It's in the Bible, you know? And then, but you have the other topic of like, I think a man is going to elevate me. I think a man is going to make me better. And I think that for me personally, I'm okay with not being married, but I'm okay with being married, whatever flows, whatever, if it's purposeful. But I'm not actively seeking for a husband, but I'm not, you know, saying, oh no, I don't want a man either. But because I'm so strong head hard, I feel like a man is going to elevate me. He's going to open me up to places I've never been before.
You had said something to me about insecurities. Were you saying that you feel like where I'm at is based on insecurities?
When I say insecurities, and I'm saying, I'm not like in a way of attacking you, but I think we all deal with that if we've seen some type of brokenness. Because when you go into like, you say I don't rely on man, I don't trust man, I only trust God, he is my source. But then you go directly to my father wasn't there. So to me, it's always you're bringing it up. That means you haven't healed those wounds. That means you're still broken, and that's an insecurity.
I don't think I'll ever be okay with the fact that my father is not in my life. Like that happened with my dad, and it was awkward, but I didn't dwell on it because I know that's the way that it is.
You don't have to dwell on it every single day to not be healed from it.
You know, you have rooted issues. We all do. You have rooted issues. The husband we choose, the man we're drawn to when we're choosing, especially, and not being led by God, comes from those rooted issues. So we got to ask ourselves to find out if we're hurting, where we're hurting. We got to ask ourselves questions. Wait a minute. That's my daddy issue. That, you know, that's my childhood root. You know, wait a minute. God, what are you saying to me now about this? What do I need to see in myself? So that's where I can check myself and see actually where the hurt is. Because a lot of times we don't even recognize it. Where the hurt is, where it came from, who it's towards, what decision is causing us to make to go through certain things that we go through. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to
It's all
understand.
come my way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, this is like a session for me or something.
No, it just transitioned to that, y'all.
No, but I'm just
We just talking about your daddy, period.
like, it's like not
I'm gonna say,
something-
yeah, right.
That was
that I'm hurt by.
your
We're not
daddy.
saying
Yeah.
you're hurt. You
No.
just have deep. You have the
You
thing is,
hurt.
you move through. You move through
There's a
life,
wall.
and you're just. It's just like you flow through life. You go through motions, and then whatever the case may be, you're trying to put it out of your mind. Psychologically, you're trying to move on, and then emotionally, you're trying to move on. So everything else, you're coding it with like other relationships and career and everything like that. So as you're topping all those things, the very thing that stung you, your dad not being there, was getting pushed back. But that's the core of you making those decisions of who you date, how you move, who you consider in your life, all of that. So you're always saying, I don't trust man because, you know, they always disappoint. But look who was the very first person who disappointed you.
This is not supposed to happen.
We're gonna edit all
It's
that.
not about you.
But there's some healing going on right
But
there.
it's good.
So
Okay, we all create coping mechanisms for each situation. I will disclose that at one time, I lied. And I said I had mental illness so I can get into these houses, and I got into them. And once they, okay, the story is once they started evaluating,
It was real people with real.
Oh,
I just
goodness.
met this lady.
right?
Lied about mental illness. No, I feel
Well, see, here's the thing is I was going to the counselor,
Oh, my
and they
goodness.
started to evaluate that there was nothing there, and I was just stressing. So I had, yes, so I was in the midst of stressing, but what I did get from that whole situation, I got to learn how to cope with a lot of things that would cause me stress, right? So with you not really dealing with the whole daddy situation or the first representative of a man in your life, let's say that, let's take daddy off the subject. He was a representative of a man in your life. Your mom is the representative of women in your life. You watch them rise and fall. So your issues of trust do stem from our parents. Our issues of lack of ability of stability or whatever is our insecurities that we have inside of ourselves, it starts with them. So when we say, when you saw your dad, even if it was for like 2 seconds, something was triggered, something came up, and then you was like, oh no, we're not gonna even deal with that. I'm good. We're just gonna leave this around.
You think you're protecting yourself by
Like one time
avoiding that.
I called him because I heard he was sick or something, and it was serious. So I called him, and I only spoke to him for like a couple of seconds. He got another phone call. He was like, "Oh, hold on one moment." He left me on that call, and I waited for him.
Exactly.
I waited like 30 minutes. He never came back to the phone. And he said, you know, he asked me too before, is this your number? He never came back to the phone, and he never called me back. And that was the last time I spoke to him. And I think it's like 2 years later to where I just seen him, on FaceTime right then. So that's hard because it's a constant rejection. So for me, I feel like, why would I subject myself
To rejection.
to rejection? 'Cause if he's not, ready, that's hurtful. So it's like, in a way where I feel like I'm forced to put it aside. That's how I feel because, it's like, what does it make any sense for me to keep on opening that wound when I can move on? Accepting that it is the way that it is, because I don't want to keep being hurt that way.
Because you
I
get
can
to
do
express your love. That's your
Yeah.
love language. And we want to receive. We think we want to receive it, but really we want to express
My
it.
love language is affection.
Affection through your voice, affection over the phone.
I am very affectionate.
Even as she said it, I was like,
Right.
Yeah, you have to be like, all right, okay, that's right.
That's how you know you called to marriage.
See, and I was going to say,
okay, physical touch is not my love language.
right? Yeah. It's when it's affirmation and quality, then the affection is at the bottom of the list.
No,
I love
that's
it
good.
all.
Did you get a
I want it
revelation?
all.
Yeah, I did. I
There's
did.
so few people that aren't called to be married. Really. if
You
we
said
really-
so few people?
So few people.
Well, let me make it clear
aren't
that I
called to
didn't
be
say that
married.
I didn't want to be married or that I'm not.
Look into the camera,
I
girl.
keep saying-
Tell 'em, like,
No,
I
no.
want to be
She's
married.
single.
I mean, everybody.
No.
No, I asked.
I was like, I mean, everybody has to look like, wait a minute. Let me shut my mouth 2 seconds.
I'm saying I'm open to marriage. I don't want the nonsense. Period.
Nobody
that's
does.
it. Yeah.
It comes with
But
nonsense.
no, there are people who do, and that's what I'm saying. On that end of the spectrum, when they're like, I can't live life without a man. They
I'll
will
take
be
whatever.
in a relationship,
Yeah, no.
even if it's bad.
Oh, no.
Or even like I said, that other end of the spectrum where they're like, I don't need a man, I don't want a man. And so what does that mean exactly? I can see the beauty in a marriage, but I know this, that in being married, I don't want to just go to bed, wake up, do the routine of life.
Exactly.
That's not what I'm looking
That's
for in a
not
marriage. Yeah, I
So
want
just like the same purpose,
perfect.
part of me is open for the marriage, open for the relationship that I'm in to go into marriage. And so I'm asking myself, do I have goals in this relationship that or something that we can work on together. Like, I'm thinking about positive things that I'm trying to pull out and see, is it gonna work? Yeah, waiting for it. Okay, next thing, next angle, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of where you can see some women are, I just want to be married, I don't care, I'll take the toxic, I'll take whatever, you know, I've been with this, what better can I get, you know,
Right.
kind of attitude, which is gross and crazy. But I mean, some people are just used to it, but it's like when you talk about marriage and saying, I do want to be married, that's good, but what's the next step in that whole thing? So
Exactly.
like you're in a, I think we all are at a, for our level. I'll come right back and be like, not gonna speak for her right now.
Not
But
pointing any fingers.
we're in a very
Just
balanced viewpoint of marriage in the sense of we do want marriage, but what is the marriage going to affect the world? Like her marriage is affecting her or rippling her community. You know, people that watch them together, they get a result. They get some kind of benefit. It's growing fruit.
Alicia, do you feel like your marriage has purpose?
Yeah, and actually now more so than ever, we've been together 7 years, married 2, and until we got the physical, you know, the paper, we couldn't get no breakthrough, literally. Even though we committed to God, God said it ain't done, so get the paper. Like, we had to follow every steps, and then the breakthroughs came as we made a commitment to God and what He was putting in order. Because it's like she said, it's for the people. Our marriage is for our children, for God first and foremost, for our children, for our parents, for the community. It's not about us doing it our way. So I definitely feel that now, especially now, we had a major breakthrough this week. And now it's to the point where we're coming, the two flesh is becoming one, because it's easy to be in the spirit together. But like Mareka was saying, we still are flesh. And now we're at a point to where we're seeing each other as the value, not as the cost. A lot of times we look, especially when we want to say, oh, I don't need a man, or I could have any man, or whatever, you know. We looking at the cost at that point. Oh, I got to do this every day. Yes, with any and everybody, you got to do this every day.
But it's not a chore, and it's not something that you see as like arduous and like, oh, I have to do it. It's the overflow of that love. Like, I just want to do this because I love you, because God loves me, and because, I just want to give you everything that I have, and so on and so forth.
Right. And it took a lot of studying scripture.
I'm over here late. I'm waiting for you.
It took a lot of studying
Marriage.
scripture for it to make sense in my head. Like, this is about God. This ain't about me. He put us together so He could accomplish something in this earth. Period.
Well, I want to kind of get into Maxine a little bit because I'm a little, honestly,
About time.
a little confused by the things that you're saying.
I am very confusing.
Look, I used to say that too until I started doing my self-work.
Amen.
Danger.
That's why I'm sitting over here by her. There was no, I could have sat right next to that seat when I first walked in. I said, I'm sitting right here by purpose. I don't even know.
Why are you sitting right there?
I don't know. If she started talking, I
Because we
was like,
similar.
I
The
was,
spirit move, kid or girl.
I was like, when she started talking, I'm sitting there going,
Everything I see and hear you talking, it's a lot of stubbornness, feistiness. Like, you ain't gonna tell me it's my way, and you fight like you want love, but you have a hard time of submitting.
yes.
Because you think submissive mean weak.
Right. Because you gotta understand, my first marriage was boop boop beep beep.
But you're
So-
not there anymore.
Well,
Yeah,
what do you
but
mean
she's
your
this
first
boom boom
marriage
beep
was
beep.
It was like both of you guys,
She like, I'm still
or
there.
you.
Period.
I finally started to fight back. So the
So were
first
you
couple
saying
of
it
times.
was abusive?
Oh yeah.
Verbally?
She said,
Oh no.
boom,
Boom bing bing. Like
And
I
just
got
making sure,
no.
making it clear for
Yes,
people.
it was
people, yeah.
See, and this is how you know I really heal from it. I could talk about it without, bursting into full out tears.
I
think it's
burst into
funny.
full out tears because I'm a sensitive person.
Wait a minute! She started
sometimes
I love it.
oversensitive, but for that situation, it was a shock and awe situation. But I do agree with that, like the whole being weak and being said over and over again that you're weak and that you're this and that you're that. So it's kind of like I had to step back on the whole being married thing. That's why I said I jumped from this to this to this to this to being like, okay, if it happens, it happens. And it's funny because when you're talking about how, you know, the man that you're going to be with, and he's going to challenge you, right now, that's what I have. He's like, shh, I want to make you better. I'm like, no, you're hurting my feelings. He's like, no, I want to make you better. And I'm like, I'm seeing that. So it's making me want to say, you know, this relationship purposely is healing a lot of stuff in me. And I'm shocked and in awe because I didn't think that I was ever going to be in a relationship that was going to actually help me. Because I've always been the either helper or the controller of the relationship, even in that boom, boom, bing, bing.
How long have you guys been together?
It's like going on to 2 years now.
Okay, and so you were saying that you don't want to be married, or you do want to be married?
I'm content.
Okay.
I'm content. If it gears towards marriage, I'm okay.
You want to be married.
Yes,
So if he wants to be married, then why aren't you guys married?
because it's 2 years.
What does that mean?
That means we still need some time.
Who needs time?
I
You
need some time.
Uh-oh,
And
she got
so-
loud. She got loud.
No, what mental illness?
I need some, okay, you got it.
Okay, but that goes with what Seanay was saying. Everyone is telling her because she's growing up in age, it's your time, but she's saying that's not God's time. So you saying 2 years, but what if God's saying now?
Ooh, because it. Well,
Oh,
see,
she
here's
already-
the thing. Here's the thing. Remember, we were addressing the woman part, and you said success, and you said career, and things like that.
Right.
I think because of.
I see.
Because of me
love it.
not accomplishing the
Catching on
things
words.
that I, right,
Yeah.
that I wanted to address when I was younger, I'm feeling like I need to do this. I can't, I don't want to be that wife that is the nagger and complainer because I didn't do what I wanted to do or
Then why are
succeed.
you in a relationship if you're not ready?
Because he's
Wait, that.
Because you know she'll skip over it.
What you gonna say?
No.
Okay, so here's the thing. When I first got into the relationship, I swore I was ready. I swore I'm
Ready for marriage?
ready for the relationship.
Uh-oh, she
Okay.
good.
Like, ready for the relationship. I was ready for the relationship because at that time my mind was marriage is such a beautiful thing that I didn't want to jack it up. And because I was already in a really jacked up marriage before, I was scared that it was going to be a repeat, whether I liked it or not.
So do you date just to date, or do you date to
Be purposeful.
Yes.
Okay.
Breathe.
Prior to the situation,
No, you said you got into this relationship because
Because
you
I-
were ready
I thought I was ready.
for a relationship,
Yes.
but not for marriage.
No. Not necessarily.
So you're dating, or you dated him just to date?
wait, can I clarify this because
No.
no, because I feel like we're on the same page. I'm trying to, because you're making it seem like, and I'm not like, it's like you're saying people date to get married versus
You do.
Okay, right.
Well,
Wait,
hold on.
that is an end goal for relationships.
I'm not making it seem like anything. I'm just asking a question.
Okay, so
That's
my
it,
thing
and I
was,
just wanted
my
to
thing
have
was,
an answer.
my thing was, in the relationship, first of all, me not having a healthy marriage is me stepping back and saying, okay, let's take this one step at a time. I swore that I was ready for a relationship, okay? I know that relationships generally go into marriage, But at that point, I'm tunnel vision because right now, all I can see is, can I have a healthy relationship right now? I'm not concerned with marriage like everybody else is concerned with marriage because I'm scared to get to that point or mess up right now. So I got to stick at point A. Point A is, I'm in a relationship. I swear I'm ready. So as far as saying, am I dating to date to date? No.
So you're dating to see if you're ready for a relationship.
Yes.
So how do you
No.
feel? No or yes?
I
She's
can't.
fighting herself.
I can't. Right. And
No,
prior to this relationship, that's what I can speak on prior to this relationship.
But we in
'cause
the
this-
now.
Yeah, we're.
But
You
you
can't.
have to
I
understand,
can't.
she
You
came
gotta
from something
understand.
volatile. She hasn't healed from it, so she's stuck.
And there's a
in it.
whole
I'm saying
lot
if you
of.
haven't healed, why are you putting yourself in another relationship?
That's what
to
you guys
figure
were
But this
saying.
man is
listen.
helping her.
But that's what
There-
you were saying.
Right. So
But
where
if
I
he's
was.
helping her, then why are they not married? He wants to get married. No, this is the thing, because he wants. If she says this man sharpens me,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying they should or shouldn't get married. I'm just going off of what you're saying and asking you questions based on what you're saying, so that just like you did me, to be mindful of where we are.
Mhm.
So I'm saying, if he wants to get married and you're saying he sharpens you, he makes you a better person, why then are you not married? I understand you're.
Like right now.
Or why aren't you ready to be
Yeah, ready
married?
to get married.
Why are you hesitant about it still? If it's shown you it's a healthy relationship, he's checked all the boxes, he's sharpening, he's doing all that, why are you still hesitant?
I don't know, really. Just kidding. No, no, because to me, it's still like even though the relationship is starting to check off boxes, I haven't checked off my own boxes.
Okay.
And even though I got into the relationship, because like I said before, I swore I was ready when I got into the relationship. Now I'm in the relationship and like, dang it, I am so not ready. And he knows that. He sees there's a lot of work to be done. But instead of saying, you know what, you go fix yourself and find somebody that's ready to deal with it, he's willing to say, you know what, I'm sacrificing my time, my heart, my love to stay with you and work things out with you, which I am totally grateful. Because he could just rejected me like I've rejected other people, and some people they've rejected me. So, I mean, I'm grateful for this chance to actually heal the brokenness with somebody that has a little bit of brokenness, but a lot of good strengths that's helping me to see myself.
But then at the same time, like, it could turn into something else too, because what if he's waiting and it's 3 years and you're still like not ready?
Well,
Is it fair to him and you to be in this relationship?
let's be honest about the situation and think about it like that, because technically, even if he was ready and he was like, you know what, there's never been a proposal. So right now it's like, I think even though we haven't gotten to the point where we're like, okay, we're saying I do's and proposals is happening, we're gradually going towards a thing.
Wow. At what point in the relationship did you realize like you didn't check all the check marks on your list?
When I started to get very depressed at my current living situation and where I was living and
How many months were you guys together?
about 6 months, and I wasn't talking about it. I got really shameful and like embarrassed, because it was like I have to do this, and he's got it together, and I don't want to bring him down, and I'm scared. I don't want to lose him, but I don't know what to do. And my communication, where I was very vocal, because I was very confident in what I had at that time when I first got with him. So I was like real confident, but then when things started to like drop off of what I had built for myself, I started going, oh my God, oh Jesus.
So did it start messing with your self-worth?
Yeah, definitely that. I still think marriage is a beautiful thing. I want to heal so I can actually give this relationship that seems like it's worth it a fighting chance to really actually be something.
You have to redefine your life as a woman, what marriage means to you.
I promise you, this is all like set in motion to be addressed and everything, and just all of the, like you said, insecurities. It's like, when will we really get to see ourselves, if not to be able to address these certain insecurities, like being rejected or not being cared about or being abandoned or not seeing self-worth. Just acknowledging all those different aspects and it being a part of our healing. Take it to the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, you and that girl.
Yeah, please edit this. I'm over here doing.
Don't edit nothing. Run it back.
All right. Okay. Well,
I'm over here.
You still gonna answer her question.
I just need to.
Throw a distraction over there.
I was gonna answer too, but I just felt something.
Just a
I was like, I gotta hear this.
quick question. And I want to go with you, but I'm still here. So I can't move, because I'm here.
Okay. I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I live in our experience. Oh,
I've been married
two ghosts.
When I heard cleaning, when I can get the tears going, what do we need to do? I mean, I can
Edit mine in.
She said that one tear was the Obama tear that came from the middle of the
Yeah.
eye. Boom.
Right.
Are we serious about the cleaning?
Michelle,
We just need to
but the fact that you have it on tape, the fact that you have it on tape, we're going to put that right here, because I like to put it on tape.
From the house.
We want to